So thank you everyone to be here today. We will be speaking about the next generation network. So it might be technical, it might be not technical. Let's see. Let's dive in. So how we will connect you here today with this presentation is speaking about SCiON, which is the core of the technology. SCiON is the implementation of it. And then we speak on how Worldline is adopting it and how Worldline is using this innovation to produce or to propose solutions to our customers. So let's dive into the details of the technology.
Thank you, Pascal. My name is Lukas Giesin. I'm part of MS Business Architecture, and I'm running with this project in Worldline for quite some time now. I guess to set the scene, we wanted to start with the rationale for the innovation. Yes, exactly, thank you. And all of you know the internet. You might wonder, why do we still need additional networks aside of the internet? And I guess the internet is really a fascinating thing. It's one of the most powerful networks. It's most used. It grew fantastically over the past 30 years or more. But it's also the most attacked network by now. It's hitting on a daily basis by DDoS attacks in an increasing manner. So this is doubling almost every year or quadrupling. And one of the reasons is the attack costs are getting lower and lower. Almost everybody can download some software and try attacking the internet. On the other hand, for companies like Worldline or anybody else, the defense costs get much more expensive. So we have to invest a lot more in toolings to protect ourselves, protect our environment, protect our customers and flows with the customers. And yeah, this is a bit of an unfortunate trend at the end. I guess we're all interested to deliver our customer a very decent performance, a reliable network, 7 times 24-hour operations throughout the year. And we also want to prevent from such situations that shops are closed or payment is not possible, or even in cases of power outage, to see whether there are ways to circumvent situations like that. So with that, we came to a conclusion: a secure and reliable network alternative is still a requirement to complement the internet as such. And we'll see now how SCiON is going to address that. So SCiON, as always, stands for abbreviation in IT. It stands for scalability, control, and isolation on next generation networks. It means it's a kind of a new architecture for a secure and reliable internet communication. It was in particular designed to address the shortcomings or some limitation of the internet architecture, which was done, I don't know, 40 years ago or more. By the way, also in Switzerland, started off there. Also SCiON started off in Switzerland, as we see here. And it starts organizing the network in groups of so-called independent isolation domains. So it's something we will see now in a bit more detail, what such an isolation domain mean, what are the pros and the cons of it. I said it was invented in the ETH in Zurich by Professor Perrick. He's still a professor at ETH, but he's also the founder of a spin-off of the ETH. So they thought their product or their idea is so good, and they want to productize it. They want to start selling the product, and they founded a company called Anapaya, who is basically the company selling the hard and software required for it, but also a lot of additional products around it. And lastly, the SCiON Association was founded as a governance body for it, for the software, which should all be open source by now, and is basically also fostering the development and the community to broaden the adoption of SCiON. First adoption was, of course, as always, in the university field. So the ETH started with other universities to test drive SCiON. And later on, I guess the early commercial adoption was then done by SIX at the time. That's also when I heard the first time about it, as we were still SIX payment service at the time. And in combination with the Swiss National Bank. So they were looking for a secure network for their interbank clearing system with, I don't know, 70 to 100 banks to use this as a production network. And they started with the first isolation domain called the Swiss Secure Finance Network. And this is running productively for more than 4 years now, very successful, without known outages or downtimes or things like that. Now, other such SCiON ISDs exist also for other sectors, because also the interest raised, especially over the past 3 to 4 years, with the pickup of cybercrime, DDoS attacks, and other vulnerabilities, other sectors became interested, in particular health sector, the energy sector, military, of course, always interested in secure communication. There is also commercial usage. And all of them adopted the technology to start protecting their critical infrastructures. And for us as Worldline and for a larger community, also our customers, they were also asking for such enhancement or such an availability of a network. And by the time where we looked into that, there was no suitable ISD available for our needs, or we were not allowed to use it. So these ISDs come with a certain governance, which allow the participants or don't allow them, because they want to protect their network. So it resulted in the end to build a complete new ISD for cashless payments. It's called SCiON, and we will see later on what that stands for. So what is the characterization of SCiON? As said, it's split in smaller trust boundaries called isolation domains. So this is the isolation of trust and the boundary of it. It comes with a strong governance in most of the cases. Someone established the rules, how it can be used. They also secure it with certificates. And they issue the certificate for it, and they define the purpose of that ISD. So it's also this cashless payment ISD is not a multi-purpose, it's sought for payments only. The product itself comes with some strong features in the path, in the traffic routing, in the path multipathing. It has a path-aware routing. There is a selection that you can use, which paths are used for your network traffic between sender and receiver. You can have user-defined paths or standard policies with performance-based. So it brings a lot of features that do not exist in the internet as such. In the internet, you take what you get, and you have little influence on your data once it left your premise. And lastly, it needs some hardware for the time being. It's the so-called edge router that is required, which combines basically a hardware product with some specific software from SCiON to run on these routers. This is to connect to an actual SCiON core, which is managed or which is run by classical telco companies. Like in Switzerland, it's a Swisscom, a Sunrise. Internationally, it's something like BT or Colt or Verizon. If you look at the features, I guess I covered most of them already a bit. So we have in security and stability this authentication. We have a built-in PKI certificate management. So the issued certificate will be renewed in a very short time. So if someone would not be allowed anymore, you can really block him from the network within hours almost. The multipath capability I mentioned, path awareness as well. Protection, you can also hide paths, so not even for the members in that domain, not everything must be visible. You can hide paths in there, which is even a more increased protection against DDoS. And performance is also built in the sense that it chooses the best available path, the fastest path between two participants, based on various criteria, but you can also oversteer that with your own user-defined policies if you wish so. And lastly, as I said, the governance is a strong aspect, and that leads me to the next topic. So SCiON as an ISD is standing for Secure FPOS Network. So it's basically the new dedicated ISD for the payment flows. It inherited all the good things from SCiON, and it's basically built to protect payment flows. So it's mainly covering the area of all those stakeholders that we know very well in our environment. It's about acquirers, issuers, schemes, acceptance providers, PSP, NSPs. All of them would be natural participant in that environment. I guess all such use cases could be leveraged in that domain. Of course, all of those must be connected to that network and must be basically certified to use it. We start building that already last year, so it's supported by Worldline. It's strongly supported in Switzerland by the EP2 association, but it's also strongly supported by the so-called associations for the retailers, or the Swiss payment associations for the credit card issuers in Switzerland. And the telcos that are listed here, they're also supporting this from day one on to connect customers to the network. And you can choose, of course, one or several of them depending on your availability requirements, on your resilience that you would like to get. The governance we mentioned, as I said, decentralized design for all those stakeholders. The governance, as said, there is the SCiON Association. One member is the EP2 Technical Commission, where Worldline actually is a member, and Worldline is also currently chairing the SCiON Association. That's, by the way, myself that are doing this. So we have not also insight from that point of view, maybe also a little influence there how we do that, but it's not, let's say, Worldline owned. We're just one of the members and one of the stakeholders in that environment. Second is the retailers. There are big retailers represented there, like Coop and Migros in Switzerland, or also Swiss Railway Foundation and Federation. And there is the Swiss Payment Association, which Viseco is one of a big issuer in Switzerland. Now the SCiON Association, the main duty is to approve new members and issue the SCiON certificates. There is 3 types of certificate. One is the core certificate for carriers, basically, so for the telcos itself. They can also become a user of it and a provider, so they need probably a second certificate for that. We have the SCiON user certificate. That's the easiest one if you just consume a service or offer a service in the network. And lastly, we have the so-called endpoint provider license if you also establish or provide services on behalf of others. And that's actually where Worldline falls into, as we already provide in the acquiring space today services to other third parties on their behalf. So that's about it, and then I hand over to Pascal.
Good. So Worldline, as mentioned, has different aspect or different feeds into the SCiON, the SCiON, and Worldline, of course, now needs to provide services. So basically, there are 3 cores today available in the market, and that will connect on one side the users, on the other side the service providers. Currently, Worldline is the first service provider, and we will expose different services on this network, starting with the top one, and the 2 first one I will show you in a couple of slides what it is. The 3 other ones are more general features in the background of the value chain in payments. But there are other candidates, so it will grow, and we have already contacts in the market to find potential customers or business partners or others that want to either build services or consume services and ask us to build new services on it. But we can migrate any type of service that exists today to that network. So on the user side, of course, we will be also user, just to test our things. But we are not the only one. So, of course, the biggest push in Switzerland are the merchants. But there are others. You have acquirers, you have eventual PSPs or schemes that might be interested. So it doesn't stop to the shop, it stops back completely in the value chain. And these are connected, of course, through this transparently to the cores you can find your path to Wordline. So Wordline have on the service side 2 legs to ensure certain redundancy and scalability, but also ensure if one leg falls that you can still reach us. Very important. And you can strengthen that by adding more legs with more cores. So every time you see it doesn't fit or it's too dangerous because we get attacked, we add an extra leg. Good. EP2 is one of the first services that we will expose. It's very important in Switzerland. It's basically the payment rail in Switzerland. It's also used in Europe, but in Switzerland extremely strong. And Wordline is extremely strong in that as well, because we are offering the core end-to-end platform for from acceptance to up to the schemes level in that rail. So if you see here, there are different components in this value chain, and you see that nearly everything up to the scheme, Wordline is present. So, and this will be exposed, and the green line shows where we will expose the service on the SCiON. It can be internal, but it can also be external. And if you look today, if you look to the terminal landscape using EP2 in Europe, you see that around 7% are using a system that is very similar, which is the MPLS, which will be replaced by the new SCiON. So today we have already kind of signed a contract, if you want, with a certain number of customers, business partners, which will run to around 5% of the terminal landscape. And there are lining up a few others that are very interested. So we expect by the end of next year to have 1/3 of all EP2 traffic moved to that network. That's the target. Hopefully we'll maintain it, but there are good chances because very large merchants, and I mean very large merchants, are interested. So if you are middle or big merchant, you have in general an interest to protect your payment rail. The second business case, very interesting one, but it's more on the scheme side. It's twinned, but it's a Swiss scheme. It's not a European, it's not Vero, it's not, no, but a Swiss scheme. But nevertheless, it's a very good one that has been growing over the last couple of years. If you see in some 2017, it was very small, and today we are around, this year they expect to reach 1 billion transaction a year. And that, of course, is also causing problems because the architecture at the beginning was not made for that scale. So with this project, we are helping also them to reinforce their backbone in order to support the growth, because it's easier to scale. And in this value chain, the important thing is that there are many players. It's not only Wordline. And on top of that, at some point, we switch to another ISD. So it's SCiON, but we are switching ISDs because it depends on where you are in the value chain. So the last one is the banking clearing one that we explained in the beginning of the presentation. So you see that you can jump from one domain to another if you are allowed and if you have the certificates. So, in conclusion, SCiON was not invented by Wordline, but our customers, our business partners, had a problem in the market, and there was a solution, and they asked us to come up with a solution for their business, building on that proposal. So that's why we jumped in, and we had already a very strong partnership with the EP2 board and the EP2 consortium, which basically was a natural way of prolonging the partnership with our customers. So we follow the customer, but we are an early adopter as well, and that is important. And that would mean that's the 3 pillars for success. We are a tech company, so we embrace innovation. It's clear, we need to try. Honestly, the probability of failure is very small, which is good, and sells well. And we are customer-centric, so we listen to our customers. They come to us, we have a problem, we want to do that. Okay, we do it. So we listen to the customer, and it fits our business and our purpose. And finally, we build some robustness. So it's not just a duct tape solution, it's something robust. It's hardware, it's software, there's a lot of research behind it, a lot of other partners using it. So it's just not we doing something out of the blue.
Exactly. And I guess if you look at the outlook, we have also many prospects that want to jump onto this technology as well. We currently estimated, as said before, that we can do 1/3 of the EP2 transactions, but also the majority of the twin transactions with that network. But there is more customers out there, and in a second priority, we want to approach them as well and tell them about the story and hopefully the success story behind it at this point in time, and bring them also onto this network. Besides these services, almost any other service can be exposed, so it's not limited to one of these use cases we just shown. It's also not limited to Switzerland at all. It's a solution that is globally available. It's something we can use and leverage in all countries. It basically needs just telcos, service providers supporting that as well, and that is a bit a chicken and egg question. So everybody asks, is it available already in the Netherlands, in Belgium, in France? And then we say, yeah, partially yes, but maybe it helps if you speak to your telco provider and ask him about that. So that can foster the adoption quite quicker. And it's something, yeah, that we want to push as well. And I guess Worldline is in a good position to talk to the customers and encourage them to speak to their service providers. And lastly, I think currently it's kind of a unique selling proposition for us. So not everybody has something like that in the portfolio. So we see and we hope that, let's say in a couple of months' time, we have also some success stories to share and get some recognition for something that we do a bit different than other competitors, and they might not be offering in the very same time. They might want to join as well, and that's probably something we cannot avoid, but I guess we have now an advantage as we are an early adopter and we have already customers onboarded to it. So for that, we hope we can come back to in one of the next tech forums to tell a bit more about the success of the story here.